Okay, today I'm going to introduce you to function tables. Function tables are connected to our unit on coordinate planes because I'm going to show you how we can actually take these parts of a function table and they're actually going to end up looking just like ordered pairs. A function table is sometimes called an input-output table because there's going to be some numbers put into the output table. That's what these are over here. And then we also have information that's going to come out of the input-output table, and that's the information on the right. One other thing to remember, and this is really important, especially when we're looking at the connection to coordinate planes, is that anything on the left, those are our x values, and anything on the right, those are our y values. So let's look at this problem right here. Janet is saving money to buy a new TV. The TV costs $700. If she saves $125 a week, how long will it take her to save for the game? Create an input-output table for the problem. So some of the input-output table is already plugged in for me. At week 1, she saves $125. At week 2, she saves $250. At week 3, that information is missing. So let's take a second. I've noticed a pattern here. If I'm looking at the y values, then it looks like each time it's just increasing by 125. And that makes sense because it follows the rules in my word problem. So this value right here needs to be 250 plus 125. So this value right here should be 375. It's important to notice this pattern because something that you'll be responsible for are writing rules. So if I were to write the rule for the y-axis, I would say that that rule is plus 125. Now, if I were to write the rule for the x-axis, I would do the same thing. I would come over here and look and see what's happening each time I move down my x-axis. Well, each time I'm simply adding 1. So the rule for my x-axis is plus 1. Now, sometimes it's really hard, now not for this one, sometimes it would be hard to get an answer to our problem by just the number of spaces we have on our input-output chart. So what we have to do is we have to come up with what's known as the relationship rule. That just tells me how do I get from x to y? And it has to be true every single time. So for this problem right here, 1 to 25, 2 to 250, 3 to 375, I'm noticing right here what I'm having to do in order to get my y value is I need to multiply my x value by 125. So my rule, my relationship rule is going to be y equals 125x. Now, notice there's no symbol in between 125 and x. That is because, if you remember back in order of operations, if there's no symbol given for the operation, that means that we are multiplying. So right here, this is a good example of that. 125 times x will always give me y. So 250 times 125 times 2 gives me 250. 125 times 1 will always give me 125. 125 times 3 gives me 375. 125 times 4 gives me 500. Now let's continue our pattern. If my x values are plus 1 each time, then I know that this is 5. And if my y values are plus 125 each time, I know this is 625. So if this pattern continues, how long will it take for her to save for the TV? So in this case, I know that at 5 weeks, she has 625. So if I were to continue this, at 6 weeks, she would have $750. So the answer is it's going to take her at least 6 weeks to save for the TV. One thing to notice is these end up making ordered pairs. So you could actually take information from this function table and graph it, but your coordinate or your ordered pairs are going to be these. It's going to be 1, 125, 2, 250, 3, 375, etc. And in 5th grade, you know how to graph points on a coordinate plane, and that could be the next step that you would be asked to do in a problem like this. Today, you're just going to do a little quick check at the bottom to make sure that you understand the basics of a function table. If you need to come back and watch this, you are more than welcome. Please let me know if you have any questions.